For those people that are watching me live on Google Hangouts, they're seeing me with a gigantic smile. I love it when artists take their work out into the stones. And this is something you have been doing for many, 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 many centuries. And when I look into the Akashic record of the artists of you, I see hundreds of cave paintings, thousands of tree carvings, hundreds of different river redirections. When I mean river directions, you and a few dozen or a few hundred other Neanderthals with sticks could go to a river that was made out of shale and small rock and literally redirect it into a flat land to irrigate for the first time. And you found that you could do art on a very large level. And there was a time where you discovered very ancient ruins that were created by people before the Neanderthal. And it was a moment that you went into these deep caves and saw artwork that was created by your own hand from a timeline genocide, from a building that had remanifested itself out of being outside of time with no ancestral connection. And somehow, some way, in the southern parts of Africa, your little Neanderthal soul found the piece of work it helped create on another timeline that didn't exist anymore. And since that time, literally time, you have been going through sacred sites all over the world, tagging, we'll call it that. So other souls in your soul group that experienced the recoming of many of these buildings throughout South Africa, Madagascar, the tips of Antarctica, and some of the other islands that were around South Africa at the time when the water level was much lower. There's a very powerful and a very ancient civilization of Neanderthals who were able to change their brains quite literally. Are you familiar with the long skulls?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I've seen them in Peru.
Okay, well, the long skulls, what that is, are Neanderthals. There was a time again when timeline genocide erased every living thing on this world, including all the ancestors. So imagine this world with no life, no trees, no plants, no nothing. And to get back on this world, we need an ancestral connection to a place that has no life. So there are people that ventured from across the stars and outside of time and remanifested to the dream worlds of other planets until they could find a way to physically come to the astral world here that didn't exist, land on this planet, and die. And once that thing died, there would be an ancestral connection here for souls to immigrate back in. And that's how the creational events allowed planets to come back into existence if one of those original ancestors got back there. Well, what happens if more than one comes back to the planet and there are tens of thousands of different timelines? It's called timeline.
Sorry, I have no idea.
It's timeline pollution. And that building I told you about was a piece of timeline pollution that came in at a separate paradox, in the third paradox, and altered everything that you did. It means everything you did on the first and second paradox were completely different than the way they were recorded. So you're part of Broken Rules, Resistance, Free Earth. From the very beginning, you found a way to leapfrog through all timelines and paradoxes so that you could ultimately make marker stones for your I am selves in unawareness to begin to paint sacred art on the walls so you could activate your DNA memories.
Wow.
So you want to know about the Gaia Project. You are awakening the stone people that you made contracts with millions and millions of years ago. And these are the ancient stones that knew they would see you in a future form, but you would be totally unaware of your agreement with them. And all they could do was provide love and warmth at the surface of their rock as you shared your creative work, so that you can find oneness with the mineral people and stone people, oneness with those that created the paint, the vegetables, and the ochres, and the minerals that would go in to create sacred paints. so that you could bond with the finger that was touching and painting, or the brush that was being used, so that the extension of your third eye went into the tips of your fingers. So every little crystalline piece in that stone was a part of that record of creation in that moment. And any other future ancestors in your lineage technology viewing that would have their DNA technology activated too. Activated too.